Hello everyone. Recently we have uploaded a video about the gap, okay, how a gap is calculated for your employments and the BGC purpose. So there were a few messages to us requesting us to release it in English version, that they're not able to understand Telugu, as it was actually targeted Telugu audience for them to understand gap calculations and also the BGC process. Let us start learning about this gap. Okay, what is gap, how a gap is calculated for your future, and especially the students. Okay, you should learn it. Most of the students don't even care, and they don't even really know how this gap is calculated in the future employments and even for their jobs, for BGC purposes. So let us start learning it from grade 10. So usually after grade 10 we start grade 11, 12. Will not have, most of us will not have gap. But the gap starts after 12. So if you don't get a seat in your dream college, so people go for long-term coaching, and then again they'll have a gap of 1 year. So after that you start your engineering or graduation 3 or 4 years. And for you to get into PG, so few will immediately start and few will have a gap again for 1 year for their preparations or for entrance exams, or someone who is trying abroad will have a gap. So this is one gap, and then you start your career. So after you start working company to company, so if you don't start off your career immediately when you change a company, that is also calculated as a gap. And then few will have immediate employment start, and few will have a gap again after the first employment, especially when there are layoffs in the market during the recession time. If you lose a job, it will again take time for you to get into another job, 6 months or 1 year. So when you apply for a job, or a fresher or an experienced, okay, it applies to both. So when a fresher applies for a job, the gap is mostly education gap and after education. So most of the MNCs don't consider the gap exceeding 2 years. Few MNCs don't consider the gap exceeding 1 year, but 90% of the companies will consider up to 2 years of gap. So here, if you have a gap more than 2 years in academics also, they don't consider. So the maximum gap that is considered in your academics is 1 year. It should not be 2 years. The total gap should be 2 years. Okay, up to 2 years. It's not even 2 years. Okay, up to 2 years is an exception for the students or working professionals. So when even if you are selected for a company and when they start your BGC, if your gap is exceeding their guidelines or their process, the limit that is set in their process, then automatically the application will get rejected and you will lose your offer from the company. Okay, few companies will have post BGC process. We think we are providing all the details to them in the BGC form, and then they start the BGC and then they find a gap more than 2 years and they say it's against our policy, so we can't consider it. We are dropping off your selection. So instead, this is one challenge that students or experienced professionals will have. Experienced professionals also, a gap during education, gap after education, and gap during employments. And when you apply for a job in MNCs and when gap is calculated, if it is exceeding 2 years, again you will not be eligible to work in that company, as your BGC will not be cleared. Okay, so better, what we advise to the students or experienced professionals is not to have gap. So whatever job you get after your education, instead of being idle at home for years and in the process of searching for a dream job, dream company, it would be great if you can start off working in a company. So whichever job it is, okay, it will fill your gap. So gap, when you apply for an IT job, many of us will have a doubt. Okay, I'm applying for an IT job, so does this non-IT experience count? Yes, of course, it is also working experience and it is not a gap. You are working, you are doing something, so it would definitely help you. It will fill your gap. So it is also an employment and an experience, right? So what matters here is the gap during which period you are completely idle, you are not doing anything, or you are doing something which is not calculated as a part of this process. So for BGC purpose, this gap is must. Okay, so to fill this gap, we advise all the students to start off working immediately after your graduation. And for example, you are an engineer and you want to get into an IT company as a coding expertise or a tester, but it is taking time for you to get into the companies. And if you go for these government jobs and then try years and then come back and say, okay, fine, it's not working out, let's start a career in IT. So even these gaps are going to spoil your career, and you may not be able to get into your dream company though you have all the skills required for a job, and you may be an extraordinary professional or a coding expertise, but still few MNCs cannot hire you because they have set their guidelines and processes, so which they cannot violate. So if you can start off working after your education, soon after your education, so this fills your gap and you can happily try any company that you would like to apply in the future. And engineering students, okay, you don't need to really stick to that, okay. There are other jobs also, like there are BPOs and then HR companies also. There are many recruitment firms, consulting companies who hire technical people for the resource management groups, and you can still try it out. It really helps you, okay, to understand the market, to gain some experience, real-time experience. Like you just treat it as an internship. You start working in a company. Internships also adds value to your profile in the future, okay. It is not a gap. Internships are not a gap. The gap is completely zero working and zero activity period, okay. So in case if you still have any questions on this gap, you can message me. I can help you out and I will respond to you, to all your messages. So just subscribe our channel for more videos. I'm trying to share all our experiences, and I'm Kalpana Anu, MBA, HRM and LLB, having 14 plus years of experience into this HR, business administration, and then recruitment processes. So you can feel free to reach out to us anytime through messages, and I'll also give you my email ID in case if anybody wants to talk to us directly. I can help you facilitate throughout this process, and I can even help you get into IT jobs. Okay, we are into the same profession and we keep hiring IT professionals for various jobs, okay. So please do save this and subscribe the channel, hit the notification bell so that you can get to know all our videos and updates on daily basis, okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching.